어두운 조명 아래 또 시작되는 move 우아한 손짓 은근한 눈빛 투명한 창가에 넌 비춰서 아른대는 move.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're here. This is one of the most awaited analysis that I could possibly do in regards to SHINee. It is TAEMIN's move. Not only are we going to be looking at the dance practice, because I did hear that how TAEMIN does his dance practices look very much more like rough drafts in comparison to when he does do them live or performs them separately in performances. There are also two different versions of move as performance versions that we're going to look at. The first one is going to be him as a soloist, of course with the backup dancers. The second one is going to be with the choreographer Koharu, and I cannot wait to watch her. Last time I watched her was her 2013-2012 work, like that era, maybe like teetering around this, but I have seen some old Koharu stuff. I have not seen her movement quality around this era, so I cannot wait to get into this. So without further ado, let's get started!
묘한 분위기에 취해 너를 놔버려도 돼. 나를 벗어나지 못해. 나른해진 이 순간 잘 빗은 머리가 헝클어질수록 아름다워. 내버려둬. 반듯한 자세가 흐트러진데도 괜찮은 날 똑바로 봐. Oh yeah. 어두운 조명 아래 또 시작되는 move 우아한 손짓 은근한 눈빛 투명한 창가에 넌 비춰서 아른대는 move 묘한 그 느낌 아찔한 끌림 어두운 조명 아래 날 사로잡은 move 우아한 손짓 은근한 눈빛 잠시 난 모든 걸 다 지워 시각에만 의존해. 경이로운 눈빛으로 너만을 감상해. 신경 쓴 화장이 더 번져갈수록 아름다워. 내버려둬. 단정한 셔츠가 구겨져 버려도 괜찮은 날 똑바로 봐. 어두운 조명 아래 또 시작되는 move 우아한 손짓 은근한 눈빛 투명한 창가에 넌 비춰서 아른대는 move 묘한 그 느낌 아찔한 끌림 어두운 조명 아래 날 사로잡은 move 우아한 손짓 은근한 눈빛 어떤 표현도 어떤 문장도 너를 모두 담아낼 순 없겠지. 우린 이대로 완벽할 테니 걱정 따윈 버려. 그대로 repeat. 그대로 repeat. 그대로 repeat. 어두운 조명 아래 날 사로잡은 우아한 손짓 은근한 눈빛 어두운 조명 아래 날 사로잡은 묘한 그 느낌 아찔한 끌림
That's really fun to watch, not gonna lie. The amount of tension and isolation requirements to be able to pull it off in this way, because it is tailored towards a masculine and feminine hybrid, because of TAEMIN's movement quality of implicit understanding of how he grew up within as a trainee and his choreographic exposure. This is a very, very fitting routine. And of course, he's got the stripes on. So any iconic thing that we see from the SHINee era of, you know, just SHINee the group, whether it's a solo or a group, TAEMIN's got the striped shirt on, if you think of it that way. So before I say like really anything analytically, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the other two versions that we have. We're not looking at this music video yet. That's for a later time, but we'll look at 2 and 3. Let's go. So this one should be more refined, more of the actual intention of how he's gonna do it. The dance practice is one thing. Here it should read a little different across the board with everybody. That's just natural. Oh, that's cool. This choreo is ballsy for how simplistic the movement is. But simple does not mean easy. I want you to know that. This is the perfect example of simple does not mean easy. Getting everybody on the same page as that is way harder to do than you think it is. Nice. This is a really good fit on him. Wow, yeah. Cool. So for this one, there's only one thing I'm going to note, or is that I'm going to tell you there is an obvious difference between the dance practice and here, and it is how TAEMIN does the very first course of move. So we're going to talk about that. It is different than the dance practice. I will probably analyze the dance practice, but do an overview of the duo that we're about to see. But this is important that I want to go ahead and touch on. Because some people are like, no one can dance like TAEMIN. You're right. No one can really dance truly to the way TAEMIN can dance because no one is trained the way that TAEMIN is trained. Not even SHINee members. Does that make sense? Koharu cannot dance the way that TAEMIN can. But here's the deal. TAEMIN can't dance the way Koharu can either. There's so many like little fingerprints. Just like a fingerprint is very unique to an individual, TAEMIN's movement quality is very unique to him. So that's why in this case, the important thing was getting the dancers on the same page and allowing him to be the outlier in comparison to trying to get everybody on the exact same page. In the dance practice, it was close to replicated, but if you notice here, he takes a more stoic statures. They take a more hip approach. Rotating it, the hands are behind the back. Notice for him, his shoulders are not nearly as defined in the rotation in this particular take in comparison to the dance practice. So I want you to be aware there is a difference, rightfully so. And he is a little bit more taller. They are squatted a little bit lower. He's still using the hips in the same range, but his accent is more suave. The ladies take on a more sensual appeal to it, but it's still very controlled. Notice there's the corner look. Some are looking with the whole head. Some are projecting. Drop it down, the intensity right there into the chest iso. Right there with the body roll. Not the body roll, it's just the shoulder roll. Accented it up. And right there, the ladies bend one of the knees. He does not. So notice that most of them are going to bend that left knee. He doesn't bend the left knee. He keeps it up. Boom. Shh. So it's more of a crunch of the body in comparison to actually using the hinge. Then from right here, you notice it's more of the pelvis is more of the front for him, but for the ladies, it's more of a hinge. So those are the little details that are different between how TAEMIN does it and how the girls do it. But that's what makes it freaking sick and freaking beautiful. It also could factor in to the fact that he's wearing pants with a muscle tank and they're all wearing shorts. That part, honestly, the dance practice, that was way cleaner. But this was still a really, really cool note. I just wanted to touch on that as an overview because I have seen people in comments talk about how TAEMIN moves the way TAEMIN moves. He's a human, remember that at the end of the day, and he is a dancer who does have things that he can continue to work on. All of us can. So for TAEMIN specifically, something that I really appreciate is his control in fullness and completing the isolation. So here's what I'm excited for, this duo. So let's go ahead and watch it. I'm excited about this, like a lot, truly. He's been rained on so much. I wonder if his hair gets stuck in his eyes. Koharu is freaking sick. Oh my god.
그대로 repeat 그대로 repeat 그대로 repeat
This is so freaking sick. God, I love this so much. This was a perfect example of exactly what I just said. There are things that TAEMIN does that Koharu doesn't do, and vice versa. So there's, my God. God, her movement quality is so good. I want to be her. Oh, God, it's incredible. Okay, here we go. The key point choreo, we're just going to go through the choruses because that's where like most of the highlights is going to be. And then we're going to do our official dance analysis to the dance practice. Okay. Let's start here. Notice for him, I want you to notice how his posture does cater towards an implicit understanding of Michael Jackson, James Brown, and choreographers of the like. He trained mostly under Rino Nakasone, and that is the type of posture that Rino carries. Not quite as much tension, but does more so with the rock. So I feel like truly, if you notice with Koharu, how she's sitting in it, her shoulders are way more of an outlier in how she's doing this isolation in comparison to TAEMIN. But TAEMIN really showcases the shoulders more so in the dance practice. That's why we're going to talk about that one in terms of unison. But if you look here, I mean, I may have to, low-key, I may have to 0.75 this just so we could talk about this because I do understand that people really, really like, we care about this segment right here. Then what better way to talk about it than with him in comparison to the choreographer? So if you notice for her, it's two isolations happening at the same time that creates a polyrhythmic moment. One's happening on a completely different axis than the other one is happening on the hips. And that's why it looks the way that it looks. It's all in full control and it has to look completely effortless and does have a sensuality behind it because of presentation of face. With the snap, really nice to showcase that. Love this here. Notice the intensity. He has more of like a blank stoic stare and she has a very intense stare. But once again, it depends on the version we're watching it, right? So having this here, look at the shoulder. She really makes that shoulder a moment for him. He does the shoulder, but there's more space between his chin and the shoulder in comparison to her. She's about touching it, right? And then right there, from there, she takes it, and then I'm looking like learning the choreo as we talk about this. So we're here, boom. And then she rotates it all the way around. God, that feels so good. Not gonna lie, I love doing ISO training. So for me, this feels like a freaking stretch. I love it so much. We take it all the way to the other side. And it's all about from there. As we finish, we have to finish it down, roll it back right here. Notice for her, she has more of a hinge. He has more of that Michael kind of inversion that's happening. For her, it is more placed, but notice that she has more of a concave happening in the upper chest. Then she rolls it back right there. Boom, here, boom. Also, their chins are pretty much in the right spot, which is really nice. Bringing it up. Hitting it through, boom, accent. She's using the chest. For him, I think he was using the hips more. She is using the hips more now, but it is, notice she is hitting more towards the corners. I think he's hitting down and she's hitting corner. And that's where they're subtly different, but they look the same. And noticing they have their own kind of breath and then they explode out of it, switch through, boom. I really love that accent with the bleeding it through, boom. Oh gosh, YouTube, stop double timing it. And we step with the tension. Notice her hip is at the forefront. He really establishes within the weight. And then we roll it up and he hits it and he swivels it through and then he finishes rolling it up. She starts with the hip and trickles it like a freaking inchworm all the way up. And then we swinging it around. Now this part, boom, 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 having that there. So all of this to say, yes, I am very aware that in my very near future, I am going to have to learn this because even if I put this on a poll, put on 15 polls, this will probably be the most voted routine for me to take on. Because for me, I am a woman of my word. I always like to learn routines that have a physical empathy towards the choreographic journey that members of groups that go through it. And I've done it with all the marathons I've done so far. I'm not even putting this on a poll because I know that this is going to be asked to try. And I'm telling you right now, I am not going to look like Koharu, nor am I going to look like TAEMIN. I will look close and I will be doing the fundamental correctly. However, I will look different. My body is very different. I am heavier than both of them. Does that make sense? I am more full. I have bigger boobs. Does that make sense? My body type is very different. Not only that, my movement, implicit understanding of what I care for within these isolations is subtly different too. So there's a chance that I may really dive into something on my shoulder, which may cause a reaction that I may subconsciously not be even aware that I do in my hip, in cadence to doing it because of how my body is trained. Does that make sense? I will do my best to be as close to how TAEMIN and the backup dancers and how Koharu does it as possible, but I'm letting you know as an individual who studies movement often and daily as a part of my day-to-day, as well as on YouTube and Patreon, I understand my own, I am not TAEMIN, so I am not expecting to look just like him, but I can look close. Does that make sense? So all that to say, there is so much beauty to be had in the individuality and how people choose to go about it, as long as the sensual teasing of the tensions are there and the isolations are represented. That's kind of my point that I'm making here, even also knowing what is in my very near future. So I'm just kind of going to I think I'm just kind of going to the most replayed sections, I think. Is kind of what's happening. So this section right here, the freaking rain is such a cool vibe, not gonna lie. We're still in 0.75. This right here, I love it. It's a little alpha move right here with the opposition. And from there, notice her wave is squeaky clean. Miss Ma'am, golly, is so clean. And yeah, that move and taking it, boom, and using that shoulder to dive it over to the other side, boom, dee-dee-dee, boom. Love that choice. Also, kudos to the fact that it's a different choreo for every course. That also is very tempting for me. Do I learn just the iconic course or do I learn all three and just make 3 separate videos? I don't know. We'll see how my body feels. I love this. How she hits this is very isolated and how she breaks apart and creates a lankiness of the hands. He's very placed and creates tension using the bicep. She makes it a moment of more of a, it kind of feels like a bungee cord, you know, like when you're pulling and there's that bungee extension where there's like that pull. For him, it's actually, he's tensing it and creating control. So for her, that's why hers has that extra kind of elasticity behind hers in comparison to TAEMIN. And he's using more of his shoulders to make that a moment. She's crossing it over at the top. He's crossing it over in front of the wrists. Here's the thing. Who freaking cares that they're doing it subtly different? It shows their individuality and it shows the competency of both. Both carry it so freaking well. It is amazing. I love the fact this is a K-pop choreo. Yes to this. Truly. I knew I was going to spend a long time on this just from the sheer admiration of so many different versions we're looking at. That right there, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Now I gotta go buy these pants. It's just so I can do a cover. If I want to do this cover, I feel like I gotta do it right. You know what I mean? I love this in my kitchen. Maybe I'll go to the dance studio for it. Who knows? Goodness gracious, I love this so much. That right there, boom. It's a nice little old man kind of on my cane with a little head ISO. I love the head ISOs in the stance so much. Notice for him, he takes a more linear approach with his chest more front. She takes it with the shoulder more angled to the front. Subtly different. It's awesome. It's freaking awesome. And then the next key point I would say is this third course, right? Nice little action between the two of them. There we go. Now notice he does more of the shoulder snap. She does a straight head ISO, but she uses the pulsing of the knee to help create that look. So it connects with the body and the knee. She doesn't need the knee to make this happen, but it does help create some sense of like, just collaboration between the upper body and lower body. He is doing the head ISO, but once again, he's not using a shoulder to take at the forefront like what she's doing. She's committing that right shoulder. He's not committing any. He's using his chest and initiating with the shoulders to the head ISO. I love this, right? Dun, 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 dun. I want to be her. For real. Honestly, she's freaking amazing. She is so cool. Gosh, I mean, TAEMIN is cool and all. I've been watching TAEMIN for like 30 reactions at this point. Koharu, this is my first time seeing her in this perspective, so I just need to like have a moment. You know, it's so fun. Yeah. But the accents on that, dun, dun, it just looks so effortless, and that's why it works, is it looks effortless on both of them. and then they get to groove out and have fun. So those are like the key points that I really felt like was important for us to touch on in regards to them as a duo, because no, they do not dance the same, nor should they. Koharu did not train the way TAEMIN did, and vice versa. So it would be weird if they could really match each other in that way. Do you know what I mean? I feel that SHINee members would probably match closer to TAEMIN than Koharu will, because of what I had said in terms of implicit training over the years, almost a decade worth of understanding how his body moves and grows. And we've seen an artistry development, and I'm so glad he got with Koharu in a choreographic lens, because her movement showcases so much diversity and a beautiful hybrid between masculine and feminine energy through the usage of tensions and isolations. Brava to this! Now, we haven't even done a full analysis of the choreo. We've just talked through the key points of the course. So let's go ahead and dive into the actual move choreo as a whole. Okay, from the top of the dance practice, yes, this one is not going to be as clean as what we saw in move number 2. You may be asking, Jess, why are we not watching that one? Great question. I can see the full choreography without there being any cuts in it here. So we're going to talk more so about the formations. We're going to talk so about the actual techniques that they're using outside of the courses that we just looked at between Koharu and TAEMIN. We're just looking at all the other stuff, the schema of everything else affiliated, not with the cuts that are happening with performance 2. So going from the top here, they all have to be very freaking still in order for him to have the subtleties that he has here. Gets to just exist. They have to look downcast. Some of them are looking side, but they have to be so committed here in order for his intimate movement to read the way that it needs to. Because remember, we just like the performance, we can get close up in the camera, and maybe on award shows and on music shows he's able to get up close, but if we accidentally get a wide shot, he's got to hold it down just the same. So it is nice to see the tension here. Does he look more awkward here? I wouldn't even say awkward is the word. It does feel more placed versus conversational, like what we saw in his performances. But here's the thing, costuming and environment really play a huge role in how you can facilitate that. Koharu and him dancing together really helped showcase different elements of TAEMIN and sense of performance quality and how he converses through the movement in comparison to whenever he's by himself. And that's something that's just what happens, truly. He walks through. Very intentional. I do want to touch on this. Notice how he's walking heel toe. His stride never stops. There's no accent in the actual step. The accent has to deal with just the step forward, not with the contact of the floor, but just the extension of the leg. Notice the ladies, the reason why they look different is the ladies, the female dancers, their step is the accent. For him, he doesn't even step down when the accent takes place. He's rolling through the heel to the toe. That's why his looks more, not as striking, but it's still striking, but just more subtle. Does that make sense? More tense, because theirs has a very strong strike staccato about it. That's why. Now we're here. Now, not everybody's head was up at the same time, nor everybody's head didn't come up in the same way. You have to think about the actual how you're pulling up. You can choose to tense the back part of your neck to make that an isolated moment. So then you're going to get more of a tick in comparison to just throwing it up like you're saying yes and no. So there were differences there. How did TAEMIN do it? Great question. For him, he did both. So he came up and then he finished it with an accent. And that's why, and the reason why you can tell is because of his fringe. From here, watch his shoulders. His shoulders are going to be more relevant here. Look at his shoulders. They're about Koharu's range. Almost. Now the ladies are more subtle. They're choosing the hip to be the isolation. You know why? Because in the performance too, when you see him, they are at a deeper squat and he's supposed to look different. He is. And so that's why, you know, I'm not saying it bothers me when people are saying no one dances like TAEMIN. Well, the ladies are not supposed to technically dance just like him here, because you can obviously tell based on their positioning of their legs that they're at a wider stance. He's chilling at a shoulder length. They're chilling at an elbow length. Not only that, they're bending both knees. He's bending both, but they're bending it more at a demi-plie position. And they're catering more in isolation to the hips. And when you see it to the performance clip, it's more subtle here. And that's past the point, but Koharu really goes for it in the range of the shoulders. She's the choreographer and she has more artistic freedom there. These are dancers who have to make sure they fit a very particular way of executing it for the aesthetic of the concept. For TAEMIN, he can do whatever he wants. He's the lead, he's the feature. He can do what he wants. He caters to this, really allowing the hips to be on the forefront, switching the feet, switching the weight between the two. Syncopation, as long as this is the same at the same angle, which it is, we get the concept across. Does that make sense? Now noticing here, what's really important is we don't want our hands too close. We don't want it too wide. It needs to be about right here. So notice with TAEMIN, his is actually a little bit more relaxed, like he's just woken up, you know, and he's kind of reaching for something. I call this the angsty boy hand. They're like, you know, but they're tired angst. That's the kind of hand it is. And also look where your head is positioned. That's the tricky part about doing the choreo with people, with lots of people. I have received much training in this niche of choreography. So for me personally, this is not as difficult as other polyrhythmic routines that, let's say, Keone Madrid has been a part of, because that man is a walking polyrhythm machine. Do you know what I'm saying? And notice too with Keone, what he did for standing next to you with Jungkook, if you go and look, there is a hip isolation similar to this on there. It's this boom, tsh, standing next to you. Honestly, there may be a chance that one day I may just do a freaking side-by-side comparison so you can really see it, or maybe somebody has it out there, but that's exactly what I clocked when I watched it the first time. Now, going back to here, you see that with the hand, he folds it down, he looks at it. The ladies, some of them keep it down and they just kind of look down, and then he actually looks down downcast. Right there into the chest iso. Notice with the ladies, he inverts like a Michael Jackson invert tee. The ladies actually take that leg because of their wider stance and they invert the knee to create the angle that Koharu did in move number 3. So yes, they're not supposed to look the same. The ladies have to look the same with each other, but they do not have to look the same as TAEMIN, or we would see them look the same. They know how to follow directions. TAEMIN, this is his implicit posture that he's making a concession to do. This is not a Koharu choreography. I'm telling you that right now. Comes up, that right there. Notice he still has that relaxed hand. Others have more of a elongated hand, so that's why these look subtly different. Hitting it through. Notice that we are pulsing, but for him, he's hinging those hips a little bit more and he's concaving on the chest. That is more of his isolation there. With the ladies, they're breathing it in. He's taking it. He's tensing up the whole torso and then he's collapsing it in comparison to isolating the chest forward and back. So that's another thing you can think about with this as well. I love this stepping here. Notice how deep the ladies go for him. He doesn't go quite as deep. That's fine. He does the same concession. He hits it with the hip and then he comes up. He did that closer to how Koharu did it in 3 in comparison to when he did it in 3. He was more stiff and then he rolled up. She let the hip take the lead and then roll it up. So I hope out of all of this that I'm saying right now, I hope it gives encouragement to those of you who are fearful to try this out of fear of not looking like them. There's a reason why they are taking the concessions that they are. And I hope that I can provide some sense of clarity on what to focus on or what they are specifically doing in the movement to make it more practical for you to learn for yourself. Because this movement, is it actually difficult in nature in isolation? No. Is it difficult to get everybody on the exact same page? Yes. Is it also difficult for TAEMIN to have to make sure that he keeps what he's doing consistent to where the ladies also have to stay consistent and that the syncopation and the choices that are made to the degree of tension is the same? Also, yes. So all that to say, all of this here, that was my note. I love how TAEMIN does that part very well. Some of them do choose to overshoot it up. I love the fact that it finishes out because that's your standard like water line that you get when you do like a neutral or standard wave. It's just cleaner that way. And in all of the versions, all of them are just more like throws, which is fine. It's an aesthetic, but for me, I liked how TAEMIN did it specifically in the dance practice more than the other versions. You take it. Nice and tense with a snap through. He goes and what does he do? The snap, they all go. This is a tricky thing. Some people overshot to the side, some look front. So that would be something for my ladies to clarify. Head placement matters. I've said that about TAEMIN's work, about Shiny's work specifically. They're really, really good at that. So I'm more sensitive to picking up on when it's not there. So that's just my general note. If everybody was looking to the side and then look to the front, that'd look a lot cleaner. Naturally keep your focus on TAEMIN. Rotating it around, good job on the ladies to really create that sweep with the leg. Then they're coming up, nice and neutral. Yep, right here. Notice the little coupe position with the flexed foot going up onto releve, stepping through, using the shoulder isos to rotate around. Notice the accent is the iso. It's not the body roll. There's really not a body roll there. So they go, uh-oh, they come up, snapping through, bringing it up, click, click, very clean, creating a nice angle. What matters is the angle in the range. Notice some of the range is just slightly off. Some of them are a little bit lower than others. Picking up the foot. Now, this was kind of their own individual interpretation. Totally fine. Nice little dig. Everyone's doing their own thing. Not a single person is doing really the same groove. Some are choosing to go to the side and catering to the weight. Some are going in the middle. Some are shifting side to side and kind of creating that moment. Some people are actually bouncing. Some are pulsing. Those are all very subtle and different. And for a routine like this, those types of subtleties do create individual moments because they've shown competency in the unison to the degree of the tension of the dynamics and textures that they're choosing to go. It's really nice. Notice for him, he's choosing really nice with the pop. He's just doing a standard pop. It's really nice with a little puppeting scarecrow kind of hand accent, which is nice. Switching it through. This right here is a little bit more free. I'm assuming that got cleaned up in the music video. Dropping it down. I didn't really have any like qualms or issues with them in the performance, and I didn't really have any here. It's nice that everybody dropped down and they walked to a new spot. I like the little tap, little pas de bourrée. Here we go. Now this part, it's definitely, you saw a bigger range from Koharu specifically on that part. That's called an alpha, at least from in the old school hip hop sense. I could be wrong there if it's called something else depending on the genre you're talking about. The throw, noticing that boom, boom, doo doo. Notice where the head placement is. Taking it, boom, bringing it through. God, I love that. Switching it through, dee 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 dee. Love that too. Really fun. Picking it up. Then once again, instead of going from the back to slide it up, we're now using the right hip. The really wave that energy up. Hitting it through to the side. Really difficult to have a reverb in check like that. Now, once again, I'm saying this. The ladies are doing a better job of creating that more elasticity kind of pull. He's still really tensing it up in the arms, which is why his feels a little bit more rigid. But that's his vibe. He's a feature. He can do that. Melting it down. The ladies really melted into that W. He didn't quite do it there, which is fine. Nice little action. Little step touch with a snap. That's his go-to Michael. That's his Michael snap, man. The R&B snap. If I were to pick an outfit for myself, I really like this one, but if you want to see the aesthetic of the choreography, his is the ideal, truly. Now here's our head ISO. Notice once again, everybody here is going front. If you go back and look at move 3, I said it multiple times, Koharu does not keep it front. She rotates and allows one of the shoulders to be at the front. It's so subtle, but God, it looks so cool. This part looks totally fine. I love me a good head ISO, and I love the fact we got to see that here. You don't see collective head ISOs often because it's a fixed point. It's a counterweighted fixed point because to the degree that you're pushing up with your chest, you want to be mindful that you want to have the counterbalance using the awareness of the neck to push forward, but not too much so it doesn't feel like you're pulsing it. So your goal is to keep it nice and still. So if you want to actually train how to do a head ISO, literally look in front of a mirror and practice going side to side without letting your head move. You can also get a friend to literally hold you and force you to keep your head still. That does work if you're a kinesthetic learner. That's going to help that way. Visual, that's what it's about. You want to take the counter push of the head to really get the illusion. You can do it this way and you can do it this way. This way is way harder because you're used to doing nuh-uh. It's kind of like that. So I'm very impressed, honestly, the fact that there's that in there. Koharu said, yes, we'll take 7. That's amazing. They rotate those heads in, rotate the head in. Just a nice little sprinkle right there. Melting away, really nice, great choices out of all the ladies. Yeah, the little kurero. That's a nice little pas de bourrée action. Rotating around, dropping it down. Love it. Very intentional with the hands. That's honestly pretty freaking clean in regards to range and positioning of the hand. Really nice to see there. Slowly coming up. Very nice. Yeah, and they hit it out. Boom. Really cool. That fan kick. Yes. Yes to TAEMIN for that. Yes to the ladies for that. Notice they're doing a third position as a ballet position in the feet. So it's right in between where the toe is. If you're doing it with the toe, that's 5th. If you're doing it at the heel, it's 1st. Right in the middle, it's 3rd. So I really like the fact that we have that type of position. He has the snap there. Now he's catering more of the right shoulder and the ladies are all keeping it nice towards the front. I love her fit. Her fit is also really cool. I don't know what I'm going to wear for this. Here's the thing. I'm fully committed to the fact that I'm going to have to do this. I'm just choosing how far do I want to go. Turtleneck is going to be a yes. Sweats, maybe. Combat boots, potentially. We'll see. Dun, 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 dun. Yep, once again with the snaps. Love the snap once again. Head intentionality, much more refined here. Definitely appreciate that with a little shrug, shrug. Once again with the shoulders to transition. Walking over. And notice walk, walk, and that little trot over. Nice little melting of the energy. We melt once again. He does a little turn with a little renajam. 2, 3. And notice the ladies go 1, 2, then the third moves, then the fourth, then the fifth, then the sixth. And they walk away. And they all walk with the same level of intensity as he has his moment to finish. And he covers his eyes. Very nice. So when it comes to all of the choreographies that we've seen from TAEMIN, this is the riskiest one in terms of making sure everyone's on the same page. TAEMIN is capable of doing it. The dancer's also capable of doing it. But you run the risk of what you saw, like let's say with Koharu and with TAEMIN. They did it 2 different ways. Your goal when you have a group, something that I've gleaned from those who live the professional dancer life, they have spoken about this. It is about not how you feel when you do it. It's about the big picture. So those dancers had a really tough job to make sure they were all on the same page of how it was to be done, regardless if TAEMIN did it the same way. He is TAEMIN. He's the soloist. He gets to make those concessions. But however, he does, if he chooses to go unison with it, he does have the responsibility of matching the same degree of tension as the other dancers. So I am very impressed at the fact that we were able to see 3 different versions and find appreciation for this choreo in this way, because I do know it is iconic for the sheer fact it's in a K-pop genre track. That's the really impressive thing about this. I'm very much a fan of this. I love it. This definitely reads, put this on a fashion week. This is a fashion week kind of routine and I am here for it. This is awesome.
Oh yeah. 어두운 조명 아래 또 시작되는 move. 우아한 손짓, 은근한 눈빛, 투명한 창가에 넌 비춰서 아른대는 move. 묘한 그 느낌, 아찔한 끌림. 어두운 조명 아래 날 사로잡은 move. 우아한 손짓, 은근한 눈빛. 잠시 난 모든 걸 다 지워